All right. Hey, good evening there, Roxbury parents. Welcome to US1 Social Studies, right? I'm Mr. Doyle. I'm sitting here next to Miss Gluck. We are your teachers or your child's teachers for the year. We're going to just walk you through a couple things, right, in this new COVID norm of schooling. Um, we'll talk about things like curriculum. We'll talk about things like some rules and procedures, some expectations, some practices, some goals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just real quick, first things first, I'm Rob Doyle. I graduated from Mahwah High School in 2011. So I grew up in Mahwah. I graduated from Ramapo College with a BA in 2015 and then a teaching cert in 2016, Social Studies 6 to 12. This is my fourth year at Roxbury. I've done civics, I've done American history, I've done world history. Now I'm doing US1 and US2, so I've kind of run the gambit a little bit. I coach wrestling, girls tennis, and baseball here at RHS, so I get to know your students outside the classroom as well as inside. And as of about 3 months ago, I recently obtained my master's in educational technology, so I can turn on a computer. But then Ms. Gluck's going to explain herself right about now.
Hi, I'm Katie Gluck. So I grew up and I still live in Mendham. So I went to Mendham High. I went to the University of Scranton where I got my bachelor's in elementary education and then 2 masters in special education and curriculum instruction. I also do have a supervisor certificate and I'm an aspiring administrator, but I still like being in the classroom with your kids. This is my 14th year here at Roxbury High School and I've taught a wide variety of subjects. I've also been in class support for another variety, so I can help your students with more than just our U.S. History 1 if they ever need it. I'm also a class advisor for the class of 2022, so our juniors are hoping to have a prom this year. I do have a background in cheerleading, so I work for a cheerleading company based in Memphis, and I work in their all-star division as well. I was a cheerleading coach here at Roxbury High School for 6 years, and I left to coach at the college level, and now I'm back coaching gymnastics with Coach Emilio, who was Coach of the Year last year.
All right, so we're going to touch on some curriculum stuff right about now. So there's the link is here. We're going to send this as a PDF to you guys with this video. So if you want to peruse the link, you can. We touch on things starting in the Articles of Confederation, the U.S. Constitution, and our goal is to get to Reconstruction, the Progressive Era, all the way up to World War I. So we last couple weeks we've been talking about the Articles of Confederation, the Constitution, right, building a new nation. This, right about now we're at Washington's presidency. We'll start to get into things like the Louisiana Purchase and Jefferson. Going forward, we'll talk about nationalism, we'll talk about sectionalism, we'll talk about America becoming, more of an industrious kind of community. We'll also talk about things like manifest destiny, right? So opening the frontier and moving westward. You have things like the reform movement, right? Talk about the difference between, talk about slavery and abolition, right? Moving forward, we'll definitely talk about the Civil War, right? And kind of all the cause and effects there. We'll get into things like Reconstruction. We will talk about things hopefully like urbanization, immigration, industrialization, and the Progressive Era, right? And again, we'll go from there in this new kind of COVID norm. But we're hoping to get to as much content as possible with as much dialogue as possible. But here is Ms. Gluck with some rules and expectations.
So again, like Mr. Doyle said, we are going to attach a PDF so you can look at our class rules and procedures on your own. But some things we want to make sure that the kids know and is that they need to bring their materials with them every day, especially their Chromebook, and have it charged. On Mondays, we do have our virtual Mondays, and those are mandatory. And our virtual times during the week in the afternoon, those are considered our office hours. So it'd be great if any of the kids need extra help, if they email us ahead of time to make sure that we can schedule and make sure we have a conference that isn't interrupted. We want to make sure that the kids respect themselves and others, be positive in class, and be willing to learn. We are taking COVID procedures within the class, so the kids are wearing their masks, and they've been great doing that. We do have hand sanitizer stationed in the room. We have an air purifier. We do spray down the desks before every class, after every kid leaves. And we do make sure that the kids are socially distancing themselves within the class.
Is staying on this page, right, talking about grading philosophy and a breakdown, right? So this is kind of how we'll be grading stuff throughout the year. Homework is 15%, quizzes is 20, tests are 30, classwork is 20, and class participation is 15. When checking Genesis, you may see things like checks or OSU, right? So check plus plus is the highest you can have for that regard. Check minus minus is the lowest you can have. OSU is outstanding, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and those grades correlate to a 180 and a 65. So if you see that, that's kind of the numbers that kind of are weighed with the grade. Moving forward, right, practices and goals. Below is a list of instructional practices I like to work with, right? So we do our best to do like think, pair, share. I know it's kind of hard in COVID, but we do things like interactive on Google Classroom. I'm a big believer of primary sources and connecting things to student life and breaking up the material, right? We're using these websites called like Actively Learn and New Visions that kind of do that for us. And again, I am a big fan of multimedia. Below is a list of some goals, right? We have for students for the year, right? Do your best and put all your effort into it, right? In history, you have the opportunity to have a lot of different answers. So there's no need to be afraid to be wrong, right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes because that's the only way we can learn from them, right? And we want to use as much evidence as possible, right? So we want to have our argument be as strong as possible, right? This transcends just school, but in life, when you're making an argument, you want to be as, you want to have as much evidence and be as concise and clear as possible. And again, focusing on connecting ideas from the text or the media to, the students' work, right? So that's kind of some big themes that we're going to look at this year. And again, it's to kind of prepare your students for the next level.
So the best way you can contact us is our email. So there's both of our emails. You can email both of us, which would be great. Should you ever need us, really, really, that's the best way. We do have a survey attached to this that we'll also put in the email for you. This will just give us a better idea of your child and help us better acquaint ourselves and really make sure we can get their needs met within the class. So that's all we have. Thank you very much for viewing. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to a great year.
Thank you kindly, and enjoy the evening.